Namaste.
Can anyone see me on that side?
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay.
I deserve to be in the limelight too. Yeah.
Are you good? Am I good? Yeah, we're good. This is actually better because you can
Hello.
actually see my head. Wow.
Hi everyone.
Bow, bow, bow.
Officially welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We
Welcome
are
to
having
Raising Vibes with the Robs. What are we going to talk about today, Miss
Oh my
Karen?
goodness. We're going to talk about energy. We are going to talk about a fun little town called Cassadaga.
Who? Casablanca?
Cassadaga. It is the
Oh.
Casablanca of Florida.
Really?
Spiritually wise.
True.
And what else are we going to talk about? Because I forgot about the third one.
The third one.
The third one.
2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Oh, the 2-2 tango.
No, 2-1-2.
The 2-1-2.
The 2-1-2 step.
Okay. So, let's go ahead and get started. We had such a great weekend.
We did.
The weekend started off
On Friday.
on Friday, and we were actually speaking to some awesome people. They are the owners of the place where I work at. Shout out to those guys. They are killing it in the business that they do. We had a fun time reconvening with them and all. And then we decided that there was going to be a special event on Saturday in Cassadaga. So for those that don't know what Cassadaga is or where it's at, can you give a little bit more of an explanation?
Yeah, Cassadaga is an actual spiritualist camp.
Yeah.
Which a spiritualist camp is an actual place where spiritualists camp and they live.
Yeah.
So, think of it as a town of spiritualists. Think of it of a town of mediums, a town of psychics.
Mm-hmm.
But more so, think of it as a town of love, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we actually live about 20 minutes away from it right now.
Yeah. Here in Altamont Springs.
In Altamont, and it's about, I would say, 10-15 minutes from New Smyrna Beach. So,
Yeah.
Beautiful town. They have everything from a fairy garden to a seance room.
Yeah.
To, a place where they give presentations, which we listened to a great one on Saturday.
Library, where you have access to learning about everything in the spiritual world that you want to learn about. Whether it's tarot or the history of Cassadaga, everything's there.
Yeah. I guess it started as a spiritualist camp for people from up north to come down during the winter and kind of like vacation / stay there and work on their spiritualist life, which makes sense.
Right.
In sunny Florida where the weather's better, where they could probably be in a better setting for that, because spiritual work seems to be exhausting.
It is. It really is. And I would assume that a shaman such as yourself would find it extra exhausting, because that kind of work is like really diving deep into the dark. And when I mean dark, when I say dark, I mean the fact that you're going into parts of yourself that you really didn't know of, or you really kind of have put it off for so many years that it would be the equivalent of reopening up an old wound.
Yeah, I would say you have to open up those wounds, all of those wounds, even if it's, I was explaining to you the other day, I stepped on a giant grasshopper, which typically I would have no issue with at all. I would step on the grasshopper and I'd go about my day and I'd say I took care of that grasshopper.
Right.
But being a spiritualist now, that hurt me in some kind of way that I did not fathom until after I did it. And I said, oh my goodness, I literally killed a soul.
Right.
Because now we're believing in reincarnation, we're believing in eternal life and that our soul carries on, well, I could have been reincarnated into that grasshopper.
Right.
And I could have been squashed by Benny's boot.
That would have been you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, and on to something else.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But we should never kill creatures. Because it gives us a sense of guilt that I think a lot of people put in the back of their heads.
Really?
Yeah, it's like when people run stop signs, when people run red lights, when people tell lies, they think on the surface that it's okay to smell. You know, it's just a little tiny white lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a little tiny lie, but in the back of their head, it has more effect on them than they know.
Mm-hmm.
I think as spiritualists and as our souls have progressed in this whole journey that we've taken, I've realized that those little things do matter. When you step on an ant, when you do that, you can change the entire world just by stepping on a certain ant, because indirectly it just affects everything affects everything.
Right.
And that's the way you have to think about life, is that not only is it eternal, so we can have eternal lessons, but everything affects everything. So it matters if you get out of bed. It matters if you call off work.
Right.
It matters if you aren't doing what you love. It
Right.
matters if you're with someone you're not supposed to be with,
Mm-hmm.
and you're acting like you're happy. Because we're all in here together as one unified group of souls trying to better this planet and this whole universe, right?
And ourselves and each other, right?
Right? So you're doing a disservice not only to yourself, but to the entire universe. So when I squished that grasshopper, I said, not only have I ruined my day and the grasshopper's day, but I have essentially ruined the universe's entire existence.
Okay, so let's not be all doomsday, like end all be all.
Okay.
What I want to make sure that the point that I want to get across is you're not going to live your life, walking on eggshells the whole entire time. But there is a certain point of view that you do have to put on, per se, to be able to navigate this brand new journey that you're going through. You don't know where you're walking. So you have to have a little bit of that mentality and say, whoa, I'm going to put myself out of the picture and look at life and look at myself living life. And that within itself is work.
Right. So it's big picture thinking.
Right.
And with big picture thinking, believe it or not, we worry about the small things.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that. But people are like, look at the big picture. But what they really should be saying is, look at the small picture too.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're doing the small things right, that big picture seems to be right.
Right.
And that is the secret.
Mm-hmm.
That is a secret that's not really known, I don't think, is that the little stuff matters.
It really does. Being a person that likes to think, my mind never shuts off.
No.
So
It does not.
and being able to focus on a specific thing, it's great. It's very liberating almost for me. But because of the fact that I am able to focus on something so much for so long, it becomes a little bit of a work there that needs to be done at that point. So my biggest lesson in doing that is I need to be able to step back so that I can understand that one missing piece of the puzzle, there are clues in it. Mm-hmm. So that I can go ahead and be able to see everything else and finally make the connection of why it is that belongs there.
And that's I believe why I mentioned earlier in the episode about taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Right.
Because you take 2 steps forward, you learn something, you take a step back to humble yourself and to realize your lesson, and then you're taking 2 more steps forward. And it might be a little tiny step back. It might be your car breaks down, right?
Right.
But we as spiritualists believe that there is
one step back.
Yeah, that we believe that there's a higher purpose. So
Yeah.
maybe your car broke down, but maybe there was a wreck on your way to work that you didn't get into and die from, or possibly
Right.
hurt or whatever. You know, maybe that speeding ticket was meant for you so you wouldn't get in a crash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you're late for work because something crazy's going on at work, or, you know, stuff happens for a reason. Divine intervention happens for a reason, and I mean, I think a lot of us saw that in different, you know, situations with the Titanic, with 9/11, with different things. People can tell you they saw divine intervention when they didn't come into work that day, or
Right.
they didn't get on the ship,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah. One of the greatest examples that I think of when you talk about divine intervention was the first time that I was made aware of it. My brother was on the phone with me, and he was telling me about how hard his day was. That day, he was gonna, him and, you know, his,
Amigos?
no, not buddies, sorry, army buddies.
Okay.
They were in Afghanistan, and they were gonna try to figure out whether they're gonna go eat,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, what else, other activity. And my brother's like, you know what, I would love to go, but I also have laundry to do. You know, so he was kind of torn at that point, and he decided to go do the laundry and take care of responsibilities.
Right.
Instead of, you know, going out with his friends. Well, unfortunately, that place got bombed. And the guilt that you would feel,
Right.
that you should have known, you know, about that for whatever reason. You know, think about all those feelings and emotions. But that one decision, you listening to your gut, saved your life. Unfortunately, it didn't to others. But that's one of the lessons that we have to learn as well.
Yeah, I think that that's a great point. I mean, that's a great example. And God bless your brother for going through that. Spirit
Yeah.
has huge plans for him, and he's a great man. You know, if any of you
Yes.
were able to meet him, you would see that. But you know, about spiritualism, you know, we talk about being connected to the universe and how the universe is actually inside of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think that that's like a God complex thing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
think that we're saying that we are God, which we are saying we are God. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not to be like, oh, we're better than you, or oh, we're better than this king.
Exactly.
No, it's we're not going to be humble per se about us being God, because we have the ability as humans. We have been given false, I believe that we've been given false, you know, information throughout the years that we are just skin and bones.
Right.
And that's
Right.
all we're made
Absolutely.
of. We're not made of anything divine. But the
Mhm.
truth is that we're all divine.
Yeah.
We all have the universe inside of us. And we have God inside of us. And what we can do is exponentially more than we think.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just think that we can do more, we can do more.
Absolutely.
If you can think it in your mind, you can actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been so much science backing that actual
Right.
manifestation process, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to do with, you know, not thinking about the negative, not thinking about, well, what if this happens, what if this happens. No, you focus on the good, you focus on the positive, and then the positive comes to you. Even if you focus a little bit of energy on that negative, like, don't let this happen, you're attracting it to you.
Right. The reason why you are attracting it, just for those who don't understand the concept of that law of attraction, is just the fact that you are coming in from a different perspective, a perspective of lack. Therefore, it doesn't come to you because you think that maybe you're not worthy of it, or it is not worthy of you, whatever it may be. That's the main reason why you're stopping it from coming.
Right. And not to talk too much about cars, but my example would be when you're driving,
Mm-hmm.
you go to where you're looking at.
Right.
So when you're driving, you don't want to look at the, tree that's over there because you're going to drive there. You want to look forward down the road. That's where you're going. That's what the race car drivers have said over the years, that they don't even focus on the wall that's next to them, because if they focus on that, they would literally just veer off that way. So you got to focus on the positive, even if it's negative all around you.
Right.
And I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're good, and I like that perspective. Especially coming from those that are going very, very fast.
Yes.
But yeah, essentially it's going back to focus. What are you focusing on? That's going to be your main guide in everything. It's going to guide you, and the more that you use that guide, the easier it becomes, and it almost kind of becomes the voice in your head. You get so used to it.
And you, as you increase your vibes, so when we talk about vibes, obviously we talk about vibrations. We talked about this, raising vibes with us. That's what we're trying to do here. As you raise your vibes, it gets easier to manifest what you're trying to create. If something matches your vibration, then that thing is going to be attracted to you. If it does not match your vibration, it will not be. So you just things start coming into your life that are meant to be there, and if it's not going to happen, and that's completely fine.
Well, the main point that there is to be said and made is just the fact that whenever we're talking about raising vibrations, we're talking about literal thoughts that come to your head. You are the writer of your story. You get to choose what words are going to describe you. You don't let bad thoughts transfer into that world that you are creating for yourself. Because that's exactly what you would say to a friend, as advice. So you got to go ahead and think about it that way sometimes. You have to be able to step back, like you said, and take a look at everything.
I mean, you taught me a lot about inner child work, and I think that has everything to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you tell your inner child? Bring back that inner child.
Yep.
A lot of us, we're like, oh, the happiest times of our lives are done. That's when we were children. We were free to do what we wanted.
I mean, not having bills, guys.
I mean, that's true.
Woo.
But to have the freedom of choice now when we're adults, and to have so many more choices and so much more knowledge, and still doing those fun activities, like we chose to go to the beach today. Free will, free, it is so exponentially better than the other decision, which would be just to say, okay, well, my life is over. I'm 34 years old and I've survived cancer twice, so my life's over. I'll just wait for cancer to hit me a third time and I'll give up.
Right.
How can anyone live you can't live like that.
But see, the thing is, you get used to it. You get used to it because you're used to suffering from so many things. But sometimes that's all that it takes, is you having that introspective look. You're looking at yourself and being completely real with yourself and saying, come on, why is it that I'm feeling this way? You get to the root of the problem.
Right.
That is going in the dark. That is fighting your inner demons.
That was, I believe, was that step 3 when we went over those?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was step 3, and it's get rid of that ego. As hard as it is, get rid of that ego. It was the hardest for me. I mean, just don't stop caring about what other people think, and really challenge yourself to maybe go to a Cassadaga or try to meditate.
Right.
And have an open mind about this, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take an open mind to have an open spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just close it off and just say I'm not going to try it, because that's going to get you absolutely nowhere.
Right.
You can't half try.
What are you going to lose for stepping out of your comfort zone?
No.
You're not going to lose anything that you didn't have before.
As the great Yoda said, there is do and there is do not. There is no try.
There is no try.
Thank you again for joining us on Raising Vibes with the Robs. We're going to try to keep it a little shorter.
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
And yeah, that's this episode. So we're going to keep it shorter this time. Keep your vibes high. Let us know what you want to hear. We're here for you. We love you. Be blessed. Let Spirit guide you.
Bye, guys.
Dang, look at that mirror.